What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Chasin Tails Podcast. We're on episode 37 this week. Got some good stuff to talk about. We had the national meeting out in Reno this past weekend. Obviously, some big news coming out of there and a couple different aspects, and a couple things we want to talk about tonight. Obviously, I think before we get into any of the nitty gritty, we should definitely have Austin talk a little bit about how Reno went. Obviously it's a fun trip to take, and then get into some of the things that happened this weekend.
First off, has TJ commented, "You guys are late"?
Sure.
Yeah. I think we were better this time. It was only like 3 minutes instead of 5. No marbles this time. Everyone happy?
So Brandon's not here today. He's feeling a little sick. He said we can do it without him. He did say he posted a link if anyone wants to come on and talk about the Honda or talk about just boat racing in general.
Open mic.
If you have any input on how to make this sport better, how to make it more exciting, please tune in. Please click that link and get in here. And let's
quickly, for anyone that does click that link, all you'll need to do is once you click that link, it should follow you. You might have to make an account. You'll put in your name, select if you're using headphones or not. We do recommend using headphones so you don't get a massive echo effect. Once you do that, hit join. You might go into a waiting room. Once we're ready for you to come in, we'll accept you, and then we'll get to talking.
All right, Austin, give us a little recap on the national meeting and the banquet, and how'd that go? How's Reno?
Reno was awesome. I mean, that was my first time going out. I will say it was a little bit of a bummer getting some snow the last day. I was not looking forward to that. Yeah, it at least wasn't sub-zero temperature or anything like it's been here, so I'll take that. But I mean, being in a big casino like that, it's obviously a beautiful venue. I can make you guys happy. I gambled a single $1. $1
Did you do Vegas and Reno in the same day?
No.
Oh, come on.
Like
dude,
I said,
you only gambled $1. I mean, unless you played penny slots.
Cities.
Not everybody gets that chance. Come
on. But yeah, other than that, it was. Go ahead.
Justin Burnett said that we're late. It wasn't TJ this time. We have other people on our ass.
But yeah, other than that, it was. It was a beautiful venue. The meetings were as they usually go. A lot was talked about. Definitely a lot more than I sat into. I know Mom was in most of them. The banquet was beautiful. Definitely got a lot of really good winners this year. Some kind of special notes from a couple people. One note I would like to make is we had Steve Wald comment that due to some health issues, he's going to be backing out of racing. And that's definitely a big hit to the sport. He's supported it a long time, and definitely going to be sad to see him go.
Yeah. They won championship this year, right?
Yeah, they won 1.5 stock high points.
Yeah,
so
it's cool.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, and the championship. That's awesome.
Yep. So you sat in some meetings. I've sat in some of those meetings before, man. It's thrilling, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great, especially listening to trying to contain you guys when I could unmute the phone and.
As soon as you said you were gonna FaceTime us, I was like, "This is a terrible idea."
I mean, honestly, those I talk like
one
it's
outburst. One outburst.
Yeah, you were the only one that really did.
I act like those meetings can get annoying, but those meetings are needed.
Yeah, it's what
they need to hash out things for our future and for the better of the sport. And so even though it's long and drawn out, it does do good. And so I mean, it is needed to do it.
They definitely don't leave any stone unturned, and I mean, that might be why they are so long and stuff. But
yeah,
I would rather them talk about everything and figure everything out than just.
It is definitely better to be. It is definitely better to be thorough than rush through things, because when you rush through things, you miss stuff. So, just like I'll talk about the Honda right now. Right now the Honda is approved for 26. it could be approved for 25. They are working on things. I know Jim Scheckler is putting a list together on what questions he wants us to get answered, and he wants HRL to answer. And I had a conversation with Timmy Collins yesterday, and he did say, he's like, some of these questions we would like to hear directly from HRL. And I was like, I would probably prefer that, because I would like APBA and HRL, APBA Inboard and HRL to start communicating, to work together, to bridge that gap, to come closer to working together, because we are a small boat racing community. And if both organizations can work together, it's only better for the sport as a whole. And, so if Inboard's going to start talking to HRL and vice versa, just like GPA did with HRL and how they're working together. Now, if we can get APBA and HRL to work together, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be better for everyone. So I'm excited. Yeah. Am I frustrated the Honda didn't get passed? No, but they are coming up with really good questions that we need to get answered. That, we overlooked, and I applaud them for finding that. And I really think that we can get these questions answered pretty fast, and we'll see. We'll go from there and see what's going on. I did ask a question. If we do not get it passed, because we do have a deadline until sometime in April to where we can get it pushed through for this summer with the Honda. But I did ask the question, if we don't get it pushed through to 25 for 25 and it goes to 26, can the Hondas run with the 2.5 stocks? The answer was yes. And then I said, okay, well, Hondas won't want to travel if they're only going to go to a race and race the qualifier and can't make the final. And they said they can make the final.
2026, it's fully approved, right?
Yeah, they can make the final. They just can't get points or win a title. But there's a question I did not answer. I did not ask. So I do have to ask this. If there's 13 2.5 show up, and can a Honda displace a Ford? I mean, this is the questions we need answered, because
I think particularly when we're talking about some of the reasons being, we need to see how the Honda and the Ford perform against each other on some, of course, like Decatur, for example. And, I think most of that big course argument applies to the West Coast, because I mean, is Hampton a mile and a quarter?
Hampton's a mile and a quarter.
Yeah. So, Hampton.
Rocky Fork's a mile and a quarter.
We have like 4 to 5 mile and a quarters.
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to get a truly good answer to that question without letting them run in finals together.
Well, I mean, it is the future of the class, so I don't really care what it does on a mile, a quarter, mile, 2/3, 2 mile, 5 mile, 10 mile. I mean, it is the future of the class.
It's not just the future because we think it's a good engine. I mean, at the end of the day, we are going to run out of Ford parts.
And it's going to be cheaper in the long run when you don't have to rebuild your Ford every year, that it can last for 4 or 5 years. I mean, there's been no catastrophic failures with a Honda besides one, and that's because the boat went upside down and he had his foot to the floor and it sucked in water. And we all know what happens when any engine sucks in water. Here's your connecting rods.
The pictures of that were awesome, dude. That was so cool. I mean, not for Jacob, but it was cool. The picture was cool.
So anyway, we're still pushing to get it pushed through for 25. There has been multiple people in the recent weeks who've called and ordered all the hardware. So we have a breakdown. I'm going to.
Mom said can't displace a Ford.
Can't displace a Ford, but that's why we're going to get it passed, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's kind of the part that's still on the table. Obviously, we're really pumped that the thing got passed for 2026.
Yeah. Another thing I'm pumped about is in the 350 class, the LS just got passed. And that's pretty cool because that's stepping forward. That's bringing an engine up to times. I mean, there's no carburetor. It's a lighter engine. So it's going to be exciting to see how that develops. And I already know a couple teams who ordered LS parts, and they're going to have it on the dyno. They're going to have it in their boat if it puts out good numbers on the dyno. So that's pretty cool. So hats off to the Hill family for doing that experimental work, putting it in their boat, going and running it, doing the dyno work, submitting the rule proposal. They crossed all their T's and dotted all their I's, and it was approved. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to the class. Because it is a pretty cool thing when something like this happens.
What's the cost on that engine compared to?
I honestly have no clue,
because I know that was becoming a problem with the.
From what I heard, they the cam might have been changed in that, but from what I heard, the rest is just a junkyard engine. They put it in the boat and ran it. So years ago, like the Fords, for example, you can't get a junkyard Ford 2300 and put it in a boat. It will first heat, it'll go out and blow up. So that's just a testament to the technology that these engines have these days that are newer, that you can take them out of a car, put them in a boat and go run it, and it'll last. And I'm 99% positive the Honda is going to do the same thing, and we will find out because we have a junkyard Honda. We're going to try it. We're going to put it in the boat and we're going to see if it holds up. And if it does, we're going to tell people because we want people to save money because it only benefits the racers.
Two things real quick. Eddie Camfouche asked what was decided regarding the A final and B final split options. That was tabled to the next IRC meeting. Unfortunately, ran out of time. There's a lot of discussion this year. Also, Timmy Collins commented and said the list of questions for the Honda has been started and will be out there soon. So
that'll be cool.
Obviously, they're in the works on it and not slacking back. So hopefully we can get it.
Yeah,
I know we got a couple of the big ones that we'll talk about today, but
yeah, and
it'd be nice to get a full list. It's nice having this is what we've got to accomplish, and I know we're going to work really hard, and IRC is going to work really hard to try and get those questions answered. I mean, if they weren't about the engine, they wouldn't have approved it for 2026.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody's on the same page. It's just about working together and making it.
Yes.
Getting it to the finish line now.
Now, was I upset? Yes, but the questions that the IRC members have came up with that I've heard so far, very, very valid questions. So I commend them for being thorough and doing their due diligence to make sure, because they don't want to pass an engine and a year down the road, they find someone cheating, but it's not cheating because the rule wasn't written correctly. So, hats off to them because we don't want that. We don't want anyone cheating. So, you know what? This is the right thing to do, is to table it, get questions answered, and then go from there. Whether it's 2025 or 2026, the questions have to be answered. So, and that's the important thing. So, anyway, the LS passed. That's awesome. I'm excited to see how that develops in the 350 class. Was there any other thing that came up in the meetings like that passed or didn't pass?
Do you remember? Do you have the answer to Eddie's question about the finals?
It was tabled for the next IRC meeting, but okay. I would like to maybe say out loud, since we know Timmy Collins is watching, I would like you to click on that link and join us. I think you would have some great information, even better than me, because you were in every meeting. I think you should.
Where did Brandon post that link at so he can find it?
It's right at the top of Facebook and
on the Chasin Tails page.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super simple, Timmy. Just to come talk.
So this is another thing. I really hope that this LS is very competitive. Like, say if Bobby King put it in the boat and he's still fast, right?
Yeah.
What I hope this does is let the 350 start dropping out, because now last year when people are paying $45,000 for a 350 engine is freaking stupid and will destroy the sport. So
I
this
really
LS,
want to see what this thing costs.
if this
curious.
LS
We got to
can
see
be
what it does in a
competitive,
competitive boat, and what it costs to make it competitive in a competitive boat.
yeah, I mean, I don't know
really curious to see what that
Rochelle
does.
Hill's boat. I don't know. I don't know, but
It's an older
I know.
boat.
I only know our East Coast boats.
Yeah, it's an older boat. I would be really curious to see, and like that's no disrespect to them. Like doing the experimental work, like
yeah,
that's commendable work. Like I mean, that's work that helps move the sport forward.
Yeah.
That's super appreciated. I am really curious, like you said, to see like what will that engine do when people get some time to work on it in a Bobby King boat or a Pennzoil or an 8, the H8, with Sam Tremblay or no Michael Tremblay.
I really hope that this LS, and if it does find out that the LS is lacking a little bit, I hope that the tech committee, since it's passed, this would probably be on the tech committee to try to find out to give this LS engine a little bit more horsepower, because eventually we want this LS to be the future. We don't want to have multiple engines in the class, especially when, people are paying $45,000 for a 350 engine. That is just going to run people out of the class. And I don't know about the majority, like of you guys or the majority of boat racing, but growing up, the 5-liter class was one of the favorite classes of mine to watch, because it's just so exciting. It's so, they're close racing. They're tight, they're aggressive, it's fast. So I just really hope this LS takes off and lowers the cost and just brings more people into that class.
I mean, look at HRL, man. You go to an HRL weekend, if you sit there during the day, like the 350 heats, I mean, we saw it this year. Tommy Shannon alone, that dude put on a show by himself all summer, and that was in one of 4 heats every weekend in each round of heats. It's just I don't know, combination of speed and size with those boats, and it's like the 2.5 stocks on crack a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, 2.5s, they're a lot of fun. You have to drive them to make them fast. If you're not using the wing, you're not going to be fast. If you're not doing the right thing with the wing, you're not going to be fast. Like, you have to know what you're doing with the boat to make the 2.5 stock fast. 350, that thing is just going to go no matter what. But I mean, you still have to drive it, but they're awesome.
Oh, you see it, dude. Those things are on the edge of disaster the entire time. When we talked to Bobby King on one of the first episodes, he's like, you set the thing to blow over and try to keep it on the water.
I do wish the box roll would open up a little bit. Like, I don't know what APBA's box roll is. I know HRL's, but I wish the box roll would open up a little bit so they can make the boats a little longer, a little bit more stable in rough water, and you wouldn't have boats stuffing.
Yeah. It is really kind of the only class you see that in.
Yeah, and I think
I mean, it's happened in GP, but
I think they need to be longer a little bit. But
not
that's
that Bobby
just me.
doesn't have any personal
bias
on this.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm a boat expert by any means, but I do think they need to be a little bit longer to be more stable. But that's just me. So, all right, we're getting off track. So back to the meeting.
Back to the meeting and back to the point of the podcast. We have our first guest that wants to join. We have Justin Burnett, who is a West Coast racer, races 2.5 stock, 2.5 mod, and I can confirm the Honda is already in his second place.
Oh, no. That's right. Marissa won last year.
Yeah, Marissa and Marina
won last year as a rookie, though.
Yep, as a rookie. So here we are with Justin Burnett. How's it going, man?
Good. How you? Good. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Happy birthday, Austin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Shit. Happy birthday, Austin.
Thank you.
Man, I'm a bad brother.
So I missed the last little bit because I was trying to figure out the whole podcast thing, but
you're good.
I think you guys were talking about the LS.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. I think it's a step in the right direction. Hopefully it'll lower engine cost for these 350 guys, because I know a couple guys out east, they're paid $45,000 for a 350 engine. It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, if you're, the way I look at it is, if you're a low budget team, I mean, you could be, like what Rochelle did, and you could pick up a junkyard motor with lower miles and just go run it. Or, I mean, hey, you rebuild it back to stock, so it's a fresh motor.
Yeah.
Um, but
So
like
she
you're
was
saying,
running
it's
that
stepping,
straight out of the junkyard this year.
yeah,
I mean,
probably with unknown amount of miles.
Now is it
I
a,
mean,
did you know if it's the
that's
same
awesome.
cam or did they change cams?
No, she put a different cam in there.
Okay.
It is she did change the cam and springs, and then also I believe she put the LS7 lifters or injectors in it.
Okay.
So, but other than that, I mean everything in its stock, straight out of the junkyard.
Do you
That's
have
awesome.
any just like rough estimate on cost to do the things she did plus the motor? Just even ballpark.
I have no clue.
I mean, depending on, the cost of the motor, I mean, if you were just to go pull one from a truck or get one out of a junkyard, I mean, you could probably get one for under $1,000.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe so.
and I'm not sure what kind of camshaft you put in there. I know it was a comp cam.
Yep.
So you're probably a few $100s there. Set of lifters. I mean, LS lifters are inexpensive.
Yeah.
For roller stuff. So, to be honest, I think her biggest expense was probably the Haltech ECU, and
Oh,
all
okay.
that. And
She used the Haltech. Okay.
yeah, she tried to run it for a while just using the stock ECU, but there was a lot of things in the stock ECU that they couldn't change. So she switched to the Haltech, and everything started running better. There was no more surging while she was out on the water. So it worked out a lot better.
Cool.
I mean, if the ECU is the most expensive part, I don't think that's really.
Yeah,
No.
and I think
Big
and I think she
problem.
said that she spent around 1,500 on the ECU.
Yeah.
So
It's not bad at all.
What are we talking?
no,
40 plus grand and less
yeah, I mean
compared to the
even
most
if
expensive current 350 engine.
I mean even if you were to rebuild it back to stock, I mean, you could probably get a set of stock pistons, rings, bearings for those you could be into a motor, I don't know, 3,500 bucks all said and done.
Yeah.
And
Not bad at all.
you got a fresh motor. So
Yeah.
I think it's good. I'd be really curious to see what it would do in a competitive hole. I think they were talking somewhere around it, that the motor itself that she dynoed was, I don't know, 50 to 60 horse less than what the 350s are putting out. But I know there's also some weight savings there running the aluminum head, and it's got the plastic intake and everything else. So I I, I think it can be competitive in the right hands.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really interested to see is, stick it in a Jeff Bernard's boat or Kip Brown's or Bobby King's or something like that and see what it can do. And I mean,
Yeah.
again, like this thing's only been ran for, she just ran it this year. Or did she run it last year as well?
She didn't race in 23, so at least I mean at all the races I was at. I
Yeah.
think she had some family issues going on, but she came out in full force this year. Um, and I believe she was trying to run it years prior to 23 as well. But I think everybody else that's been trying to run the LS platform have been running it carbureted.
Okay.
She's the only one that's been running the EFI.
Okay. Now what's everyone's take on, like, I mean, I know you're not in that class, but have you heard like what the other 350 guys are saying? Do they like it? Do they not like it? Do they just want to stick with their 350s, or do they want to move to the LS? Do they want the LS or what?
Well, I mean, just haven't heard much from the other guys. I know Jeff had touched on it a bit at the IRC meeting, um, basically saying that he would never switch to it just because he doesn't think it'll be competitive, and things of that nature. I mean, we have some people that are lower budget in the 5 liter class that I think that could benefit.
Yeah.
They could probably make more races.
Yeah.
Because I just think that it would be a lot more reliable than trying to build a 350, you know, kind of balls to the wall, but not, and dumping a bunch of money into it, and
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it'd be curious.
If if a top boat or like a state of the art brand new boat built in the last few years puts it in and it's not competitive, like I said this before you came on. I hope that the IRC and tech committee looks at that and then tries to do something to give it a little umph to try to get it over that hump to make it competitive. So since it is a cheaper motor, that that you can have the lower budget teams go to it and be competitive.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just lost everything I was going to say.
It happens to me all the time, man. It's age, trust me.
Yeah, I know. I'm almost 44. It's getting bad.
What I would say is, even on like worst case scenario, let's say tech committee messes with it, we just can't make the thing faster. It's not super competitive. Like at the end of the day, in every class, it's not like we're gonna have a 6-boat deck to deck heat every time.
Yeah.
Like
and that was
for people that want to go out and just race. Like, would you rather spend a couple grand to do that, or what's a non-competitive 350 cost on average now?
$18,000 now.
Exactly.
Because if you want to get over that hump,
you're talking $3,000 to go out and have fun on your engine versus 18. It's still a massive improvement.
Well, and that was one of the stipulations that they put on it, because they're worried that if they approve it, that next year there would be a flood of, oh, well, we need to switch to this crank. We need these pistons, so on and so forth. So they put that 3-year hold on everything. So no changes can be made to it for 3 years.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I mean, and it's fine. And I think that gives them time to look at things and be like, okay, well, it's not going to take much to get there, horsepower wise, to be equal with the 350 or anything of that nature. So, in the long run, I think it's good. Like I said, less expensive, more reliable. And that's the other thing too. I mean, you could have these guys spending, $40,000-$50,000 on a 350, and they're going to go out there. But when you got an LS that is consistent, I mean, hell, I won 2.5 mod in 2023 just because I started and finished races.
Yeah.
Yep. I had half the horsepower they did, still do. Yep. So, I mean, there's that. It always gives somebody something to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, Steve Weber just said easy fix 2028. That's the only motor you can run. That would be awesome. It would be like, look, stop spending $45,000 on a 350, run the crap out of it for 3 years. And if you blow, switch to the LS, unless you just want to waste your money.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all in all, it's going to be good for the sport, because I know that there is a lot of 5 liters sitting around.
Yeah.
And it's just it's expensive.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
It would lower the cost of the class dramatically if it was the only engine you could run in the class.
Jeff just commented a minute ago. He said current configuration with rules written, he was saying he wouldn't run that motor within the 3 situation right now. But that's kind of the point in the 3 years, is to figure out what you can change to make the thing more competitive.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, the LS motor, I think, is, I mean, just same as the Honda. There's tons of them. They're reliable. They're consistent. So
yeah.
I think it's on us as racers, as race organizations, to find a way to make these things what we need them to be, or we want them to be as racers, as leagues, as an IRC, as the board of directors at HRL. Like, finding something that makes it easier on those racing in terms of financial burden and the amount of time and knowledge and effort and all that stuff you got to put into, where we can just make it about the racing and then turn that into something like
that. Because
I don't think there's a reason not to.
Hey, Austin, can you post the link? Timmy Collins wants to get on eventually, so.
Yeah, you probably has to scroll quite a ways up, Austin.
So what's your plan? You going Honda? You sticking with Ford?
We gotta get to what Justin's really here for.
Running 2.5 mod, running 2.5 stock. What's your game plan?
We're definitely going to be switching to the Honda. You know, I mean, I got a few boxes to check before I can do that. I think we're going to start the season with the Ford. Hopefully after the first race, then we can pull the trigger and make the full switch. And if it's proof for 2.5 stock, great. If not, I'll run mod.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
you know, I mean, it's really no hair off my back to have to run mod. I mean, the last 2 years, I had a national championship, and this last season, second place in national high points in mod. So, but yeah, I mean that is my plan. Ever since I got into racing inboards, into the 2.5 stock class, you know, I'm like, why aren't we running something, you know, in this century? So, um, but yeah, I mean, I will be making the switch. We basically decided on the way home from Reno because I have my motor from last year, my Ford. It's not the greatest, but it runs and it finishes. We were going to put a little bit of money into putting together a new one, but we're going to not do that and just you know, try and go all in with the Honda.
Yep.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I did you know, talking with Austin and Patty, and then I did reach out to Brandon yesterday, and I let them know that, you know, I'm here to help. If there's anything that you guys need help with getting these questions answered or things of that nature, to help take the burden off, you know, I'm willing to help you guys out. Just let me know what you need, and
Appreciate
I will tackle it. So
Thank you.
I would appreciate
yeah,
it.
no worries.
Since you are the first guy over that on the West Coast that's going to be switching, I think that's going to be huge because, you know, you can probably answer and talk to the West Coast guys, and you know, since you know them, I mean, I know some of them, but you know,
Yeah.
just having someone out there is huge. That's already switching. You know, so if they want to pick your brain, that they can call you and say, "Hey, how'd you do this? How'd you do that?"
Yeah.
So that's huge. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I mean, for me, you know, I'm just a dumb shovel monkey. I hit things with hammers. So, you know, switching over to this new EFI stuff is, you know, it's going to be a challenge for me, but you know, we'll get it figured out. I mean, it can't be that hard. You guys have put together a pretty tasty proposal with, you know, basically all the information. So it's kind of a no-brainer when it comes to making the switch. It's kind of plug and play.
Yep.
So, you know, appreciate all your guys' hard work and what you've been doing with it.
Trust me,
The-
you've never met two bigger shovel monkeys than Austin and I.
Man,
Probably more
I do it.
more so me than Austin for sure.
I do it for a living, so I just, you know, I graduated from a hand shovel to a big yellow hydraulic shovel. So
So yeah, that's cool that you're making the switch. So you know, thank you for supporting us, and
Yeah.
thank you for switching over. Well, eventually going to switch to the Honda. It's pretty cool. You know, it is nice and refreshing knowing that we have people that are actually going to switch on the West Coast. Not to talk bad about the West Coast. I just feel like that's where we had the most pushback. Besides Jeff Bernard, he was for it. He's for it too.
Yeah.
It was just really new.
It's new, you know, and you know what? I don't knock on anyone for not liking it, but it's just, you know, when people are set in their ways and they know something and they're comfortable with something, it is hard to switch over. It is hard to make a new switch and a change. But you know, I commend the people who've had you know, an open mind to this whole thing, this whole process, and I don't know.
Well,
I'm
and
excited.
yeah, and I mean, you know, I've grown up around auto racing and everything all my life, and you know, I think the biggest complaint that I've heard is, you know, basically the devaluing of the Ford parts. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, we have a lot of money into them. I got a lot of money into mine, but I mean, I think that's part of racing. You know, I mean,
It's part
the
of
guy who
life.
had
Everything
the guy,
devalues.
yeah, I mean, the guy who bought the first set of aluminum heads for a 350 Chevy, you know, back a million years ago, whenever they
Yeah.
came out, you know, he wasn't fighting against other companies bringing out better ones, you know. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I don't know what what the engine builders on the West Coast get, but out here for the Ford, it's anywhere from from $12,000 to $15,000 for a new engine from an engine builder.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, for somebody like me, I mean, we're, like we touched on before, I mean, I'm a low budget team. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't just go out and drop that kind of money on it. I do my
Yeah.
own engines. I'll take them in, get the machine work done, and then I do all the assembly, everything. So, and being a small team, usually at the races, it's me and my wife. And so, running the Ford, if we did have issues, it's hard for the two of us, because I mean, we're thrashing and everything. So it's just, I think it's going to make a lot more enjoyable experience not having to, just keep throwing wrenches at this thing every time it comes off the water.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll definitely probably save my marriage a little bit. That's for sure.
Yeah. Rather than, working on it, since it is virtually almost maintenance free.
Yeah.
You don't have to do much. So you put your boat on the trailer, pull the plugs, let the water drain, go for a walk with your wife, and go get something to eat and relax a little bit.
Yeah. And just not forget to put fuel in it.
I mean, it is, it is still racing. So, all right, I do have to ask. Our big pushback with the Honda for 2025 is people say they can't get it ready in time.
Yeah.
So have you started doing the conversion yet to switch over, or no?
No, I have not.
But you still plan on going to it in 25?
Absolutely. And I'll do it. I'll do it after like I said, I got to start the season with the Ford. So our first race, whether it be Lawrence or Chelan,
Okay.
more than likely it'll be after our Chelan race that I'm going to make the switch. And, and and I want to see what it's going to take me to make the switch.
Yeah.
Because it is just, when we're at home, it is just me out in the shop doing all the work. So I may have to have my wife come out and lower the cherry picker when I'm putting an engine in, just because I'm not that big.
Can't do both.
My uncle and my
you
cousin,
might be able to.
they have on my brother's boat, they have got the Honda all fit and everything to go. Eddie Canfouche, there's multiple boats that have done it. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If we can't answer it, we'll point you in the direction of the Canfouches or someone or one of the Canada boys that have switched to help you. I mean,
and
it's a community.
Not like
we all got to help each other out.
Absolutely. And it's not like I'm running something weird, it's a 2009 Henderson. It's not like I built the thing in my it's not like I built the thing in my backyard. So
which boat? All right. So what was your boat before you had it?
So I bought it from a guy up here that we raced outboards with, Dan Surface. It was the S117, I believe. He bought it from Jason Aslakson.
Okay.
It used to be, I believe it used to be all orange.
It used to be orange and purple, I think. No?
Is
that the one that came from Leah Husick?
Couldn't tell you. I really don't know.
Eddie Canfouche will comment in about 30 seconds and let us know which boat it is.
Yeah, so I mean it's been a good boat. I mean the thing drives like Cadillac, handles really well. We struggled a bit with motors this year, having cooling issues. Finally we were able to get those figured out, but by the fourth motor. So last year got a bit expensive, and so we're still playing around with setup and everything. I'm still new to inboard racing, only 2 years in, kind of like Kyle and Austin. So getting the setup thing figured out, I'm still working on that, but having a consistent, reliable engine will help that out tremendously.
So we have the answer for you. Are you ready for what your boat used to be called?
Absolutely.
The Big Boy Machine.
Oh man, that is 100% going to be on there for this year.
I remember it now. That's what it used to. It was all orange and it was called the Big Boy Machine.
That's
awesome.
That's great.
It'll be on there somewhere.
That's great. So well, we appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Any question you have on the Honda, we'll try to answer it. If not, the Canfouches or one of the Canada boys will. And, it's a small community. We'll all have to help out each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And same thing, like I said before, if you guys need help with anything, trying to get these questions answered, I'm here to help take the load off if you guys need anything.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, bud.
Hey, you gonna be
Yeah,
at
no
Decatur
problem.
this year?
Probably not this year. Yeah, I know. But we will, I think we are making the plan to do nationals next year.
Okay.
And then there's also been talks about leaving the boat at Nikki and Sean's and then coming back out for Easterns in Salinas.
Oh,
So,
Awesome.
okay.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
So-
Salina is a pretty cool race. It's a fast course. It can get rough or it can be smooth. You never know. Any
Yeah,
given
that's-
day.
Been a
I mean,
lot
it's
of
just
records
like
set there,
anywhere.
hasn't
But
there?
yeah,
What's that?
yeah, absolutely.
Been a lot of records set there, hasn't there?
No,
Reset. but
no.
No?
Hydro hot laps record because they do. I don't know if they'll still
Oh,
have
that's
it, but
right.
it's pretty cool.
I hope
Hydro
they
hot
do,
laps. You
bro.
go out and run a qualifying lap.
They have
Everyone
to do
gets to
that.
do it, and closest to the record usually got like $100, $200 or something like that. Closest to the hot lap record. And I got to point out, because if not, he'll comment on there no matter what. If I don't, Dan Canfouche still holds the Hydro hot lap record with the iron head at Salina.
Really?
So I came within like a tenth of a second or something, very close to breaking it, but I didn't.
Well, maybe we can give her hell with a Honda.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
right?
we're gonna break it now.
Absolutely.
You already know Eddie's telling them that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So,
Well, I appreciate you guys allowing me on to talk about things. And Austin, it was good seeing you in Reno. And again, happy
Of course.
birthday.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry we missed you guys. You guys couldn't make it to Reno, but
Yeah.
maybe next year.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's great to see you. It was great to talk to you, man.
Yeah, you as well. Have a good night, guys.
all right, bud, have a good one.
Take care.
Bye.
So is Timmy in the waiting room?
He is not.
Timmy,
Bob,
do you need help?
Austin, text the link to Bob and then Bob, you text the link to Tim.
Yeah, okay, text the link to me and
I'll be
I'll
back
send
on
it to
one
him. We're taking a brief pause in this episode right now. Dude, I can't make the link work to join. Okay, send it to me. Hopefully it comes. I'm in my basement. I have no service in my basement. So hopefully, tell me when you send it.
Just hit send. It is sending. Sent.
Okay, I got it. Why did you send it to me that way?
What do you mean? Like a link? Caught myself there.
Shh, shh, shh. All right, Timmy, check your text messages. I just sent it. You should have it by now.
It'd be cool to see once Chasin gets the Honda and that thing, see how it runs out there. I mean, I know one of the points that's been made is how will the Honda perform on a big course compared to the Fords, and best chance we're going to get to see that is out on the West Coast.
I mean, how many are they talking big course, like mile and 2/3, or what are they?
My guess would be, I mean, obviously mainly the mile and 2/3, but we have probably more mile and a quarter. I'd say we probably have the most is a mile, then mile and a quarter, then mile and 2/3, probably, right?
I mean, they might have like 1 mile. Actually, when they ran at San Diego, I think it was mile and 2/3.
Mile, yeah, that's the only one that I know of that's a mile. Or is
We got Tim.
Oh, no way.
nice.
All right, guys, watch your
Timmy!
P's and Q's. This is the Inboard Racing Commissioner. Actually, Inboard Chair.
Chair.
So,
You there, Timmy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Probably-
Can you hear me?
yeah, we
we
can hear you,
gotcha.
bud. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something with the video or something. I could not get
Yeah.
into that thing, dude.
Yeah,
I've been
Oh,
trying for-
you're good.
No,
So
with
I
the
missed
video,
the
you.
last-
yeah,
I
go
missed the last 10 minutes of the conversation, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, well, we're just jumping back and forth. We're just talking to Justin and just, talking about the Honda, talking about the LS, about the future of the 350 class, and how he's switching over to the Honda after the first or second race in the 2025. And that's about
just
it.
overall the national meeting in general.
All right, great. Yeah.
So tell us, Timmy, what is going on in Inboard APBA right now?
Well, there's quite a bit going on. I mean, I know you guys are focused on the Honda and stuff, but with everything presented and everything that we did, I'm very happy with, I think, the outcome of every rule proposal. I think everything went the way that it should. I think that we're moving forward the right way. There was also a new agreement with GPA that they probably touch on real quick. Is that my buddy Grindell and everyone else, they've been for years. They keep wanting everything, and I think having the right people in the right room all together with the president of APBA, I think we pretty quickly came up with something that works for everybody. So it's a 5-year agreement. They can run their format with their qualifying and run their own point system and do stuff, and then they stay in inboard. And I think it was real good of everybody coming together to make that happen.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I didn't hear about that. We've been preaching it on the podcast, between race organizations working together. It's kind of the key to all of us moving forward and continuing to make the sport better. And, we got a good show. I think we all know that. We all believe that. That's why we're in it.
Yeah, for sure.
So was that the main discrepancy between APBA and GPA, was just them running a different format?
Yeah. Good or bad, what a lot of people like in APBA, what's been established and everything else. It's not a closed series, right? So, if it was a closed series, I would like to do 100 things differently, but it just can't with what we have, and that's not changing overnight at all. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So when we want to. There's a lot of people that care about records. There's a lot of people that care about stuff. There's some people that don't care at all about it. But when we change, when you're running a different formats and want to set records under that format, it's just not fair. It's just not right. So, having them, kind of doing what they want to do, but without going outside of any of our rules or ignoring them. And then, so we're looking forward to GPA really establishing course records and qualifying records and having these all posted and going along with them. They won't be official UIM records, but for the show and for everything else moving forward, it should give a whole lot more excitement and things to talk about at their races.
Yeah. And at the end of the day,
since you brought up UIM, this question came up on I think the last podcast or in one of our little group meetings. Whatever happened to the UIM Worlds? Do we not have that anymore?
Well, I'm not the right person to speak on it. Probably, I don't know nearly enough, but the stuff is there, but it's not something that comes together anymore. So I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last time we had those was the Triple Crown, right?
I think it's the last one.
It was the World's North American
Sounds right to me.
Championships and the Summer Nationals. Was that what the Triple Crown was?
Yeah, the Cambridge was the Triple Crown. It was I think it was the UIM World Championships, the CBF
CBF
Championship, and then was it the Easterns?
The Easterns or Summer Nationals.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So what changes are we looking at in inboard? Well, besides maybe an engine or two. What do we have that we're going to do different in this coming year that'll help the sport?
Well, other than the rule proposals and stuff that were passed, we're moving forward with the drone program to make that more readily available and have more equipment. And it's free to race sites, and we offer all this stuff so we can eliminate some of the problems and delays we have with turn boats and turn judges and volunteers and move forward with the drones so that obviously everyone can agree on they're great for officiating and they're absolutely necessary in marketing. You see the stuff that's going on. It just makes everything different. They did get the recommendation to pass the helmet cams now that I know that you guys probably be happy about it. There's a limitation.
There's no cooler view in boat racing, man. You cannot beat that view.
Yeah, all that stuff is super important, and some of the coolest things you see come from drones and helmet cams and everything else. So we got to cater to the media here, and so that was a rule. It's It's not officially approved, but the recommendation was unanimous from the safety board to the board of directors who approves that. So I don't see any problem with it.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
good.
So
I mean, I like that you point out that, we got to kind of pay attention and with social media, because I do believe social media and exposure on like TikTok and Reels is going to help our sport, probably bring newcomers, maybe potential sponsors, and just help it grow in general.
yeah, there's no doubt, and we're behind. So we're trying to do everything that we can. It's not my area of expertise. I just know that it's needed.
Yeah. I mean, listen to Bryant Montgomery on talking about all of it. It is very interesting on how many people just one post can reach. I mean, that is, one post can reach more people in one day than racing at race sites all summer with fans coming to watch.
Right.
So it is,
And I
it
think-
is very crucial to the life of hydroplane racing in the United States.
I think the most important point he made in that entire episode was it's not just about like getting that 1.7 million view video. It's strictly about volume. The more content you put out, the better your videos are ultimately going to do. And, like Timmy was saying with the helmet cams, the drone footage, like you've seen in these last 2 years, the videos you see of boat racing have gotten so much cooler just with the implementation of these small things. I mean, now like in Valleyfield this year, you had Beamont and that whole crew. I mean, at the end of the night, there's like 27 or 40 GoPros. I don't know how many it was. They had a whole table and tent set up of GoPros just going through footage. Like that's our key to making the sport more marketable, more viewable, and really getting to show how cool it is to the outside world.
So Tim, you're the drones, is that going to be mandatory to have at, say, every title event?
So it's currently not mandatory. I have every intention of making it mandatory. It's just can't quite get over the hump of some of the costs that it's just, some of the local races and some of the things. It's just going to be too much. The West Coast is committed that they'll have drones at every one of their races. They started it last year, drastically got better throughout the year, and this year they should have, I would say, no problems and much better service. And they'll be using drones at all the races, which are two of our titles to begin with. And then Decatur will have drones as well. So we don't have to worry about making them mandatory for this year because I know that all three of them will have it.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's awesome. It is nice to know because it takes human error out of it. When you're trying to watch 10 boats go into a turn, you can't see everything from inside the course or outside the course. And we all know trying to get racers to volunteer to be a turn judge is a pain and a hassle.
Taking an arm and a leg.
There's been referees saying we're not going to race until someone volunteers.
What do you mean?
To turn
They
judge.
have said it's like every race at this point.
Yeah, it's every race.
Every race I go to. I mean, we end up with that like 5-minute awkward period where it's. Like
I don't know how many times I heard Dave Shaw like sit there and just look around.
I don't envy them in that situation.
I have been
either.
at races where they're just like you,
and mad respect to the people that do just say, "All right, we're going to do it today."
Yeah,
I mean, we don't race without you.
So, what is there any important things that the audience should know that happened at the national meeting? Anything that's worth talking about?
Well, boring stuff like there was talk about getting rid of the insurance. I mean, not the insurance. I'm sorry about the physicals, the driver physicals.
Okay. Yeah.
They sent out an email about how they're kind of eliminating them. It's still a lot of confusion, but leaving Reno, everything's still implemented and we're not changing anything as far as Inboard's concerned. The physicals are still required and it's still per our rule book. If something changes for our category, then we'll definitely get the word out there. But as of now, it's basically staying the same. So you still do need to have that. There was a whole lot of talk. It was real good talk from a lot about Dave Shaw giving a report of some of the HRL incidents and different things about simply making our capsule training, revamping those rules. And with all the information we have since it was kind of implemented, I think there's quite a few changes we need to make to that, procedure. They're hearing that there's a lot of masks. I heard the last test they did, 50% of the air masks failed. I heard that.
What we heard up in Valleyfield, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely pretty eye-opening, and it wouldn't take much to change some of these rules. We need drivers panicking, and we need to educate drivers on their own equipment because, frankly, people they don't know. They buy the mask and just think it's going to work, but it needs service and it needs to fit properly, and so I think there's going to be some changes to the capsule training rules for sure.
I think the reality with capsule training is you're never going to be able to simulate what actually happens. But that along the lines of the drivers panicking, when 50, I think for a lot of drivers finding out, at least the guys that were up at the HRL gala, finding out that 50% of the masks didn't work properly was a bit eye-opening to the need to make sure that your equipment's going to work.
I think the training and, putting a driver underwater and saying you have to sit there for 2 minutes upside down with your mask before you can get out, that's training them not to panic. So in a situation, maybe when they flip, you try to remember, calm down, take my time, I can get out, follow your belt down, release yourself.
I've never been over. I can't speak to the impact and all the commotion that goes with that, but I can imagine just from my natural fear of open water that being submerged, strapped into a boat upside down is not going to be a comforting experience. And having some experience having to sit through that for, even if it's 2 minutes in a pool, I've never gone through that yet.
Yeah. So,
I mean, when I did my dunk test, I was out in like 5 seconds. I got the hell out of there as fast as I could.
Yep.
I didn't even need the air.
So, besides the Honda, is there anything that the IRC is going to be working on for the future for things, or are they just taking things as they come, or are they trying to work on any projects, or what's going on?
Yeah, so it's constant. I mean, it never stops. It truly doesn't. For the people that are very involved with the IRC, it never stops. It's almost daily conversations. The Honda is taking precedent over everything else because I guess if there's a chance to get this passed and there's a chance to work all the bugs out and they feel that it's good moving forward, then we got to put our effort into trying everything we can to make it happen. There's a few other proposals and things that are tabled that'll all be discussed and because we have a little window here to finalize our rule proposals, and we got a couple of bugs to work out from a couple of them, and I think that they're pretty easy. So it's pretty much the Honda that's going to take precedent here, and then once a decision is made on 25, whenever that comes, then we start putting more effort into the stuff for the upcoming season.
Cool.
We got a backdoor rule proposal for you, Timmy. Joe Les wants to know if we can eliminate capsule testing for people with real world experience.
Well, I think he should be the poster boy in seminars and the one speaking because he's been through it all.
I do think if you flip in a real race and you get out under your own power without any
you get like a 2-year exemption.
You get a 2 years, that resets you.
It's better than any capsule training.
Dude, absolutely. I mean, if you want a real capsule
as long as you get out on your own.
Slide,
if you need assistance, then maybe not.
Slide the dunk cell, the cell that you do a dunk test in. Slide it off a diving board that's 20 feet in the air and let it just hit the water, and then there's a real test. But no, that is funny, Joe.
I think we could give Joe Les and Martin Rochon lifetime exemptions.
Yeah, I don't want Joey to do any more testing, but he's Salina's back, and he's battled that lake quite a few times. So.
Oh, that's great.
It's cool. It's cool to hear a lot of the stuff you guys are working on, and I'm obviously we're excited to continue working on this Honda thing and try and get it passed before April 31st. I know, we're obviously excited about it and got a lot of passion about it, but I know there's a lot of other people, and I think it's worth noting that you guys gave us the opportunity to have this extra time to get these questions and concerns ironed out and try to get it passed for this year.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you were on before I said this, but I did say at the beginning, like, were we upset that it didn't get passed and it went to 26, but you guys are still working on it. But I do got to say, I commend you guys for being thorough. Just talking to you yesterday with a couple of questions that came up that need to have answers for. They are absolutely 100% imperative to the rules that slipped through our fingers that we overlooked. And it'll be better for our class once these questions get answered, because if not, there would have been gray areas and it would have just been a disaster if not.
Yeah, it's good to hear you guys say that. I mean, I like to think I'm extremely open-minded. So a year ago this time, or a year ago even, May, I would have been pretty anti-Honda.
I want to say you were a little anti-Honda.
More anti than you were.
I want to say you were a little anti-Honda. Also at Caesars Creek, but
you saw Bob's Facebook after Cambridge HRL.
Oh, at Cambridge, I was flipping out. I'm like, this Honda's stupid. I was like, this thing cannot be legal.
Yeah. I know. I heard all of you. I think every member of your family said the same thing throughout the pit area. I remember. I was there. But it was clear to me that the way it was set up in HRL, you can't just bring the same package over here. That could not happen. It's just too many problems. So before I hear the whole proposal from you guys and start going over it all, I'm already changing my mind, because I think it is good for the class and then for the racing. And then literally up until about the new year here around Christmas time, I'll be honest, I came all the way around and I was proponent for approving this and having it ready for this season. Yeah. There's a couple issues that people may have with implementing it this early, but the different problems and things that came up, when the rule proposal was written, it was set with, the parameters that were in it. And then, we had unofficial surveys, and then it was getting questioned. So I got questioned by multiple people. And so we did an official class survey per the rule book, the way that it's supposed to be done. And then nothing's flawless by any means. There's still some problems with that. But a week before the meeting, when you guys changed the rules, if that rule package was here for us a month ago, I don't know what the vote would end up happening, but there'd be a real shot that it's already approved. So
yeah,
I think if we can, work on it and get this stuff. Remember, we can't just answer the questions and have it approved. It still goes to the IRC to vote. So anybody interested, still talk to your commissioners, about it. But if we can get all the questions answered and goes to a vote, it has to be. We're very thorough, and if it has to, the inspection process has to be there. It's got all the questions have to be answered, because people are very passionate about that too. I know it's a touchy subject. I wish we didn't have to do it either, but there is cheating and there is things, and the people who are dead set against sealed motors of any kind. Again, I've come around, but the people who are dead set against it, well, we have to make sure that our inspection rules, everything is addressed and it's there. And without truly inspecting one of these and getting it down, I think it can come pretty quickly. But we get those answered. We get the question of how to inspect the ECU, because that's a problem. If there's a delay or we can't do that at the races, it becomes an issue. Rewarding championships and things, the way we do things, we got to come up with a solution to that. Given all these solutions, the only other negative I believe that I think everyone has accepted that this is here and it's coming. It will probably be the future. It will definitely not obsolete anything right away. I don't think it's going to obsolete the Ford no matter what. We'll see what this thing does on some big open courses. But the only negative that I'm hearing is about implementing it for this year based on how much time you have. Right? My own opinion is if somebody really wanted to do it, they can probably make it happen pretty fast. And if they don't, I'm not sure that it really negatively affects anything. I'm not sure that any of the top teams running for points are planning on switching this late in the game. I don't think it really affects a lot of people for this year, to be honest.
And my take on that is just, at least from the points battle perspective, is the top teams running for points last year, when you look at who they were and how they ran with the others in those areas, I don't think it's really changing anything, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't mean it in a bad way, but I mean, the top 3 in points in 2.5 stock last year were Ford, and Ford.
Right.
And I don't think that any of the other Fords, barring anybody from outside of who was really competing for points last year jumping in, is just going to throw a Honda in and be like, see ya.
Yeah. And, I have no problem traveling. A lot of people do travel quite a bit with the bonus point races, with 2 of them being on the West Coast and the Nationals going up against Valleyfield.
Yeah.
Obviously the 2.5 stock winner is going to be, the heavy favorites are coming from the West Coast. So, I think they're still going to race against each other and do all those things. And,
absolutely,
if people don't feel that it's ready for this season and the IRC doesn't feel that way, I would also respect their decision and have their back on it. But, talk to the commissioners. And if we get all the questions answered, I believe that's pretty much the only problem that I heard from the commissioners was about, the timetable to turn this around and get ready for the season.
So I've talked to Brandon, and I know Marty Wolf is going to be doing some Hondas. So I asked him to reach out to Marty Wolf for 2 things to get an answer on the cam for the IRC, if we can get the profile of the cam. And also just if Marty can give us a rough estimate on, say, if someone calls and say, I want a Honda, how long would it take Marty, because he's an engine builder, from getting that call to having it leave his shop, shipping to whoever bought it? How long will that take? Will it take 5 days, 10 days, 20? I think that I think hearing that from an engine builder might help some of that concern about people not being able to get switched over. I know it takes some time with the boat and the wiring and the engine mounts and stuff like that. But like I told Burnett that, there's teams that have already done it. So if anyone has any questions, just reach out to someone who's done it before to help that process. I mean, we got to work together as a community and help people switch over.
It's the best part about boat racing.
Yeah, I've been around quite a few. Well, I don't want to use the word genius people, but I've been around the people. It's amazing what some people can do. I mean, there are definite people who can, there's a whole lot of change with you changing engines. I mean, everything, the drivetrain, the mounts, the electrical, everything, rerouting stuff, cowlings, everything has to be considered. All that being done, there's definitely people that could turn this thing around in a week. Your average person's not doing that. I do recognize they need time.
For sure.
There's some
like
people
Justin
that
said,
have
he's going to be the only guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing that kind of by himself.
Yeah. He's kind of committed. I mean, he's already started the process. So we're talking about, it is February 1st. The first race is coming up at the around the April 20th mark. I do understand the argument. But,
where's the first race at?
If it happens, it's in Yelm, Washington. If not, early May is the next one.
Okay. So like about the same time as Edgewood then?
Yeah, I think it's a week before. Yeah, in Chelan,
I do have a question for you, Timmy. This one's from Uncle George. So with the Honda being improved for 2026 already, and considering that, one of the concerns having not approved it for 2025 yet, is the inspection procedure. In the meantime, let's say like if we were to approve it, other questions get answered, but we're not able to, we don't really have a solution other than HRL is going to inspect the ECU for us. What about swapping ECUs at the race site?
As in like having an extra one on hand, or swapping with
like
another racer?
As in the racers, pull their ECUs and swap them.
Well,
So I mean, I don't know. I'm not the guy to answer that question. I'll write it down and get answers.
No, I guess I was more of like a question, like in terms of your opinion on that. Like,
yeah.
Solving the cheating problem, which is the concern with the inspection.
Oh, so rather than saying you want everyone at the beginning of the day,
them, and we take the assumption that you're not cheating because you're helping somebody else cheat.
Because they are all the same. They were all the same.
But so if you if you cheat, if you hack into yours and cheat, and then you have to hand it to somebody else, you're not doing yourself any favors.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds like a fine idea. I don't have any idea.
Playing devil's advocate with that, I think that's a great idea, because knowing that that'll happen, it would probably deter people from trying to cheat with the ECU. But say someone did cheat, they just handed a cheating ECU to someone else.
Well, absolutely. Right. And again, but like that, I think the point falls on that concept is you're trusting in the competitive nature of the racers, which I do think we have to do to some degree.
Yeah.
And in that way, you're almost reversing it, because if you're trying to give yourself a competitive advantage, you're really not giving yourself a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Right. And, yeah.
You kind of have to, at that point, you're trusting that the racers aren't being an idiot, because
I think that's something that
you're helping your competitor.
I think that's something that could be discussed between the tech committee or IRC.
I mean, they do that in outboard.
It is, yeah. They do it outboards, J stocks with props.
It's kind of the same concept. I know it's obviously a little different, but
yeah. But I mean, there's no cheating with props. I mean, say if you work a prop,
yeah, for sure. No, I get that.
That just makes someone else faster. It's all it does.
Yeah, in theory, if this is something that's locked and people can't change, and they can't get into it and do it, I mean, it's not something that could lead to somebody else's failure, and you trade or pass them out before the race. It sounds like a fine idea. I mean, I would have no problem doing any of this. I just don't know what I'm missing. I don't know the other side of the story.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's something that can be brought up in a IRC call or a tech call, and just hear their thoughts and opinions on it. I mean,
well, I think the big thing for that is getting, is having conversations with these ECU manufacturers and learning more about how these things operate. And I know that Brandon's done a lot of work with that, and from what I've spoke with Brandon about, at least the ECU company he's worked with, he said, if we password protect it ourselves and then send it to you, are you going to be able to get into it? And they're like, no.
Right.
So I mean, again, that's one example, but that's kind of some of the conversations that have to be had if we're moving in this EFI direction, is what are the capabilities and the non-capabilities of these things.
Yeah. So if people are sick of my opinions, I'm not sure, but if the
never, not on Chasin Tails, man.
So like the things that have come up that I've read, or the things that you guys touched on, are different things. To clear it all up, if there's any more confusion, so it's perfectly legal as long as it meets the rest of the requirements to be a 2.5 mod for this year. In no way, shape, or form have I ever thought that 2.5 stocks and 2.5 mods out there together is a good idea. I don't like anything about it, but it is legal. We're not changing anything to do with that. We're not taking those boats out of the class. But you can run. You could run 4 heats there. They probably haven't had eliminations in 25 years in that class. But you could run 4 times a weekend.
It's the last time a 2.5 mod won.
Right. You can run the 2.5 stock class. So you can make it, if there's eliminations, the Ford engines take precedent. So if there were 20 boats and there was 12, they're running 10 in a final, and there was 10 Fords, those 10 are going to be the first 10 in. That's how it works. If there's not eliminations, then the experimental can run the final, no problem. You just don't get points, and you won't be awarded the titles. I mean, Grant Hurd did win the Eastern Divisionals on the water. He just didn't earn a title in Decatur. So you're perfectly capable of running the finals. If there's eliminations, it does change things, but you can also run the 2.5 mod heat if you're there for testing or different other purposes. Now, I don't think splitting them up by any means is the right way to go. We definitely don't need another class. I think they belong together. So they need to be on the water at the same time, racing together for the show for everyone else. Splitting them apart, I don't think makes much sense.
Yeah.
I think as far as APBA inboard is concerned, I mean, 2.5 stock and 350, those are your bread and butter right there. I mean, in terms of a boat count, the type of racing that they provide, I mean, that's the best you get. I mean, not discounting the fact that we have a bunch of questions that still need to be answered, like Bob said. But it's awesome to hear you say that, like, splitting them up is not what we want to do. I mean, for the show that we're trying to put on, and like we've touched on in the last few podcasts, kind of going really in the media route, we've like got this really good show right now, and we've got all these opportunities to create good content and really market the sport. And splitting up one of your best classes is
a step in the wrong direction.
It's going to be a hit on that for sure. So I mean, it's on us to get this thing across the finish line.
Yeah, and it would kind of defeat the purpose. If this is where the future is going to take us, it's too far in motion for anybody to deny it. So this is where the future's headed. Keeping classes split apart, it's just gonna stop the growth.
Yep, I agree. So when are you putting a Honda in your boat?
Well, I don't want to slow it down that much.
Come on, you already have
my whole gears on the water.
I got a gearbox. I got a bunch of gearboxes.
Damn well to blow your boat.
Yeah, you already got the gears and gearboxes. Come on.
So I also heard that they tabled the gearbox rule for the Fords for next year.
So when it came up, so the current rule book is they're legal in almost every class in inboard except for 1.5 stock, 2.5 stock, and 5 liter. They're legal in almost every class. They're currently legal in the national mod class, in the 2.5 mod class. They're currently legal. So
was there a rule proposal for that?
There was a rule proposal for 2.5 stock because obviously you got to run a gearbox with the Honda. So if the Honda was going to pass, the gearbox has to pass.
Yeah.
The rule will have no problem passing, but the questions came up of, so it wasn't presented as a Honda rule. It was presented as a 2.5 stock rule. So that means that any 2.5 stock could run the gearbox. I think the Duratec engine could benefit from it a lot. I don't know if there's any science behind the Ford benefiting from it, but the Duratec engine
financial benefit and not having to buy
the Ford
props, but
pop a follower though.
The Ford sitting up higher with how heavy it is, it would throw the balance all off the boat. It wouldn't be good in the corner.
Yeah, and then
that's a problem that a Ford runner would need to resolve.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff Bernard already pointed out that we're running the Fords to the max right now. You do anything to that, you're gonna start blowing apart your heads.
Yeah, they got pretty much RPM problems. The difference between a 2.5 stock and a 1 liter is the horsepower to a torque ratio is nowhere as close to that. Like in a 2-stroke, that's the problem. The 2-stroke is, I need the gearbox. I need to keep the RPMs up. When it hits a turn, the boat it'll just die because there's no torque in that engine. There's not that there's a lot of torque in the 2.5 stock engines, but the gap is nowhere near the same. They can power through the turns a lot better than a 2-stroke can.
Yeah.
So the gearbox, and under driving the boat is crucial in our class. I don't know how much it applies to some of the other, but when the rule was, brought forth, they started talking about, there's a real argument for the 1.5 stock, what people are doing is the Duratec and different things. Well, most of the problems that have come up is from people modifying their oil pans to make the things fit in the boat.
Yeah.
So you can possibly eliminate a lot of these problems that people have gone through with the gearbox. So they started, hey, 1.5 stocks can probably benefit the same way. And then it got into, what's wrong with putting it in the 350? So what happened was there didn't seem to be any problems come up, and people maybe we need to look into this a little farther since it doesn't need to be voted on. because the Honda's pushed to 26, so it doesn't need to be voted on until that Honda does. So let's take the time and let's see if it can go across the board, maybe. Because I mean, the more and more things are changing, the more and more the way the engines are physically built and stuff, and gearboxes, it looks like it's going to be needed almost everywhere in the future.
Yeah, the center line of the crank sits a lot higher in a lot of the newer engines. That put in cars. So.
Well, I think just the financial benefit that running a gearbox provides to racers. Not obviously like the logistics in terms of the way the boat's set up still need to work, and the way the engine sits in the boat, but there's no denying that being able to run a gearbox and not have to buy 6 props is helpful to every racer.
Oh, I'm sure Timmy still has a shitload of props.
Timmy's always going to have a shitload of props.
The problem,
he's probably got a whole room.
The problem is you break them. It's just too hard to replicate the same thing in these little ones.
Yeah, right.
So I carry 4. I run 4.
We've been very fortunate. We have not broke any props yet.
Knock on some fucking wood.
I really don't. Yeah.
Oops.
The good one I run's not very thin.
Get ready for the Honda with a lot more torque than the Ford.
Well, that's why I think PP1 is going to be awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, it's like I said, I'll say it again. Thank you guys for being thorough with the rule proposal, wanting these questions answered. So it tries to eliminate the possibilities of cheating, and also tabling it, and rather than just saying we're done with this, it's 2026. You guys are taking time after national meeting and still trying to hash stuff out. So,
and speaking on behalf of the entire IRC, they appreciate you saying that. You know how passionate you guys are about it. So, I'm sure there's disappointment, but to instantly, just let's see what can happen before we get too crazy. But I felt we did everything we possibly could. I thought all the decisions were correct. So we'll see if we can't get the final hurdle and getting it approved for this year. But we get all the questions answered. It goes to a vote. Maybe it still happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think what it takes is just everyone working together, and and that's what the sport needs. And we do that. This is the best sport in the world. I mean, you go to a boat race, everyone helps out each other. So we got to do that outside of a boat race, and everyone needs to work with each other to try to make the sport better for the future. Because I mean, that's why we started the podcast. We want this sport to be better. We want it to grow. I want this sport to still be around when my kids grow up.
I mean, you see all the young kids getting into the sport right now. Like, we're kind of in one of those little shift periods where you're seeing racers that are 42, and you're seeing racers that are 14.
Yeah, like out west.
I get that happens a lot, but there's a lot of young racers right now, and I think it's a really, really big time for us to work together as a sport and try to maximize potential.
Thank Strong Racing for that. Timmy's on the team. They're huge and instrumental in getting these young kids in the T class getting started out west. It was for decades that the T class was only on the East Coast. Now it's shifted over to the West Coast, and look how many young kids are coming in the sport. I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean, you have 3rd, 4th, 5th generation racers from longtime racing families coming in, new kids who their family wasn't even involved coming in. So it's awesome to watch, and it's awesome to see. So
yeah, as far as the T class is concerned, and the Honda and how everything is so related. We got to depend on each other. But the biggest thing with the experimental process of moving things forward is who's going to do this, when are they going to do it, who's got the money and time to do the work, because you're not approving anything that's not in a boat. So along that line of thinking, I have budgeted some money to help fund like a new engine program, and there's nothing to announce yet, but there is some things in the work that may include a brand new T-boat engine of the future in a very capable boat that may hit the water this year. And it would probably be partially funded partially funded by the IRC to help move this along because, if you had $1 for every time someone says, they need to do this, they need to do that, and no one steps up and does it,
no one follows through.
it's extremely difficult.
Timmy, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so there's new engines, there's new things that need to happen, but we're going to have to step up and invest in ourselves and start making some of this happen. And to me, there isn't a better spot to do it than the T class.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you look, just the participation in the T class out west and the age of those participants, it just shows that potential growth in the future with these young kids to make Inboard grow. Because let's just face it, Tim, we're not going to be around forever, and we need someone to fill our shoes, and we need more people to come in also.
Yep. There's no doubt.
I myself, I just started driving at 24. I still would, if it was a viable option on the East Coast, I probably would have been like, I would rather race a T-boat to start. If it was an option. It's not really an option. I couldn't tell you the last time T-boats really ran out here.
No.
Yeah.
Kind of, and not that getting forced into 2.5 was a bad thing. We've obviously managed just fine, but it's cool that a kid at 14 years old out on the West Coast gets to hop in a T-boat.
Actually, I believe the age is 13 now.
Yeah, 13 now. As far as we're selfish concerns, and as far as we're concerned, it's hard to get members from outside the community to join boats. The school program things work great, but as far as we're concerned, lowering that age limit, getting the T-boats to the West Coast, they have very dedicated racers that are racing outboards, and the younger we can get them in inboards, the younger we can get them hooked into our category.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Getting them involved and having the lines to keep stepping up to go through the inboards, it's what a lot of outboarders want that don't have access to, and it's turning around and they're making it happen out west.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's awesome. To see. It's really cool to see.
That is cool.
That's the key to keeping this thing going, man.
Yep.
It's not gonna work without racers.
Got to grow the future, and also, we always have to strive to try to keep costs down and lower the cost for the future. I think at times, I'm not blaming this on you or any of the current IRC, but I think at times boat racing in itself lets cost get out of control with some classes, and it does definitely hurt the category.
I think we put a lot of Band-Aids on bullet holes.
Yeah, so I think it's an ongoing fight, and I think that the IRC for the future needs to always try to be battling on how to keep costs down, because if you look at the median the income of households throughout the United States, the people who could go, like, say 350, for example, who can go out and spend $95,000 on a brand new 350 and engine and trailer, your percentage probably goes down to like 4% of who can actually do that.
The median income in the United States.
So if we can lower that cost, I think the LS, if we can make that, or if it's going to be competitive, I think that can possibly bring in some new racers, because it just hearing about that drop the price of engines dramatically, and I think it will really help the class out in the future.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it. The 350, in my mind, everything's out of control price wise. If you're serious about racing, you can't even have just one engine. You're literally looking at $150,000 startup to run a competitive 350 from scratch. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah. This engine package, the way the last set of engine rules were put in the 350, I think it did make it the best class that there is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the way the engine rules and some of the stuff were written, it allowed for that to kind of get out of hand. That's exactly what we don't want to happen under my leadership. There is to not let this Honda in, and then 5 years down the road, it's a $20,000 engine somehow.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
agree.
that would defeat the whole purpose.
Yeah,
correct.
we don't want
It would
that
defeat
either.
the whole purpose. Absolutely.
So that just goes back to showing how thorough you guys are, because we did overlook some things, like some questions that you had yesterday that is going to be on this that we have to get answered. If you guys didn't catch that, because we didn't catch it, the price could probably get out of control, and it could possibly impact the class in a bad way. So
yeah, the fact of the matter is, like, if you went with a dyno sealed engine, right, costs are totally under control. There was different problems arise and different things happen with that. So now that you open them up, you have to really be conscious of it, because it's just there will be a difference between, a professional engine builder and somebody doing it in their garage. But
yeah,
if there's only so much they can do, and it's very specific and limited in what they do, it's not going to get crazy, and the performance isn't going to be that much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, like from going from sealed to not sealed. When you had sealed, you only had one set of hands in there, so you didn't have to have those engine rules so tight, because that guy was doing the same thing over and over again. Now that it goes to multiple hands, you can build your own. You have multiple hands in there, and with having those gray areas or those gaps in those rules, people can get away with doing a lot of things.
And the other hand of that, I mean, I'm not so sure that there isn't both in the rule book, all said and done. I'm not sure there's a sealed engine and an unsealed engine option. I mean, the people that hate inspections, well, hey, you don't want to ever have to tear your engine out and do stuff, you run the sealed option package.
I mean, HRL proves.
All right,
that
Timmy,
I
like that idea.
If you
That's
want
awesome.
to go that route, like, that is a very viable route.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely.
So you would be open to that option?
I think so, for sure.
I think that's ultimately where we really wanted to go with it. Obviously, we've the circumstances and logistics and everything. Those are, there's what you want and what is feasible in the moment and what we can do now. I think in the long term, that's the route we'd like to see, particularly in a class that is supposed to be a stock class.
Yeah, so it did get exciting, because obviously everybody knows there's a lack of inspectors, referees, volunteers. It's very difficult. Big country, lots of races. It's difficult. So when you get the ideas of this stuff and the sealed engine, me personally, I don't think I would have a sealed engine in a boat that I run, but far be it for me to tell other people to not do that, because you can avoid a lot of headaches and you don't have to worry about things. You're getting your engine right from an approved engine builder, whoever that is, and you go to a race and, if the way to inspect the ECU or something, I mean, there's still something, but hey, you can have your 10-minute inspection and not have to rebuild your engine to get ready for the next weekend.
Yeah, okay. We've seen that before too. Where, for example, this year, and sorry, Bob, in Decatur, Bobby King didn't. I don't believe it got tore down until Sunday. He didn't race Sunday because they would have had to put a whole engine back together.
Yeah, well, I do like those guys. Bobby's driven my boat. I do everything. He does love to get home as fast as he possibly can. And if he's not racing for points,
that's fine. But
I will use the excuse to get out of there.
You can understand the decision, though. That's a lot of work to have to go through on a Sunday morning, regardless. Not to make it a personal thing about Bobby.
Have you ever seen Timmy pack up trying to leave a race? Like, I don't know if he's there for a boat race or a freaking yard sale.
He's got slushy machines.
I mean, no, I'm not knocking that slushy machine at Caesars Creek. I don't know how I didn't get sick. Awesome. I think I had like 50 slushies that day. It was so delicious.
Yeah, I'm rarely the first person there, but I'm almost always the last one.
Oh, I know. I think there was one other boat that, I don't know, we might have ended up being the last.
Sometimes there's been a couple races I've intentionally waited, just sitting around waiting for the other boat to leave so I could leave last.
All right, so that is a great idea that you could possibly have two options, build your own or have a sealed if you don't want to get tore down, if you win a title event or be accused of cheating. That takes 10 minutes. is this something that the IRC can work on themselves, or would they need a rule proposal in front of them to be able to work on it?
I will make sure it gets worked on because I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I don't think I don't think you're not getting both of these things passed for this year. Like it.
Oh no.
Oh no.
But,
I was just saying, like, if you need someone to write a rule proposal for the sealed engine, then we'll just hand in the one that we had.
Yeah, I think we'll. I mean, we've talked about it so much. I mean, I know that you guys do, but behind the scenes and everything else, I've got hundreds of hours talking about the Honda since the end of the race season, and we'll try to move everything forward as much as we can. But yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, you have my word that this will go seen all the way through as much as we possibly can.
I really appreciate it.
We do appreciate that.
I can't say it enough. Thank you guys for being thorough and also
with our
rather
nonsense.
than just saying wash your hands of it this year, that you guys are still trying to work on it. So hats off to the IRC and really appreciate it.
I do want to apologize for my one outburst in the meeting. Austin was supposed to have us on mute.
Yeah, that was. Well,
Hey, I'm glad everybody got a good laugh out of it.
Listen, as long as you're not you're kind of personal, I guess. I don't mind anything passionate. I don't mind anything passionate. So it's what drives everybody. I didn't say at this meeting. I think I did the last one, but I mean, it's like this is the place. Like those national meetings. It is so beneficial to be there in person. You can't understand. So much happens in 4 days when you're not racing your boat, but everybody. Who has a big interest in this, most people are there. There's so many things can happen and come out of those meetings with everybody there at the same time. It's crucial in moving stuff forward and getting things done. So it just works great when, it's just the amount of time and the amount of people you spend talking to that you don't normally get to. Things come out of that meeting you never thought of every time.
I'm definitely making it a point to make it to the national meeting next year. Where is it next year?
And they don't know yet. It hasn't been released, and I have zero information.
Is it going to be in another casino?
Well, my feeling was they were seeing how this goes, and it might be right back there again. But I have absolutely nothing to base that on.
I mean, I know from my time there last year, I didn't even go to any of the meetings. I was a rookie. I didn't feel like I had any business or really any input. I mean, I probably should have gone just to listen, but I didn't. Yeah. But, the meetings don't just happen in those rooms. They happen the entire weekend. I mean, I sat there and had conversations that I probably had no business in. I didn't really have a lot of input in them, but it's just cool listening to you, Corey, some of these other guys that really do have real input talk. I get to learn and I get to, whether it's super educated or not, at least have some of my, my at least driver input into the conversations. And like you said, that's the whole point of getting everybody together in an area or one place for a weekend. Everybody spends money to go there and figure shit out. So might as well figure it out.
It was really good this year. I mean, the meeting didn't have enough chairs in Florida last year. There was not a lot going on this year. The board, the tables are full. The chairs are all full. There was people standing. The banquet had over 120 people at, which is for us it's almost double. It's double most of the last 8 years. It's doubled what we average.
Really
it's been more than
that.
Yeah, it hasn't been 20 some years before they had more people. So there's passionate people everywhere. We just got to try it as much as we can to stay on the same page and move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I know we give you a hard time, but
we do it out of love, Tim.
We do it out of love. We do it out of love.
No, I have thick skin. I'll make more jokes and more things, and I try not to.
I told Bob on Friday. I was like, dude, I'm proud of you. You haven't made a single post on Facebook yet today.
Well, probably
I think I've been the comments one of the whole group.
Right. Timmy, you probably sent a preemptive message like, hey, if this doesn't go the way you want, stay off Facebook.
Oh no. I text Timmy. I didn't post on Facebook. I got my stress out by texting him.
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, right? If you hear something from somebody that heard it from somebody else at some meeting that you weren't at, I mean, how accurate is the information after 3 people? It's not.
Absolutely.
It's not.
It's just how
That's why we tried our best to listen to everything. And like I said, I apologize for the outburst. I didn't realize it wasn't on mute. We wanted to be there the best we could.
I loved it. I only laughed about 6 times, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I wasn't on mute when I said it. I figured there was going to be no response because I thought I was on mute, and then when the whole meeting started laughing,
Austin didn't realize it either.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
Brandon like just was like, I want to talk or something, so I was like in the process of turning the volume up to be like, guys, shut up, I'm turning it up.
Well, I'm pretty sure that most people thought it was Brandon, so we'll just leave it alone.
There you go. Love it. Love it. Leave it there. Leave it there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. So really appreciate you coming on. You gave a lot of great insight. Excited about the future of Inboard. Yeah, just keep working on it. Let's make Inboard great again.
Yeah.
It is good. But I think not just the IRC. I think all Inboard members in general need to always try to work together, try to grow the sport, and just do our best, put our best foot forward.
Transparency and communication, man.
Right.
Yeah. I think the national meeting and the conversations that have sparked from it are so good, even though it's been frustration and bickering at times. Like, I think that's progress. We might wish it would be smoother, but that is progress.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of miscommunication being floated around at the end of last year, and I think everything has been cleared up. But it's pretty simple. I mean, I shouldn't be hard to get a hold of if anybody has any questions for me or anything that I can help on. Might not be what you want to hear, but I'll get you the accurate information.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we appreciate that. I know, but I know Bob and Brandon have made it clear, but everybody that watches Chasin Tails, if you ever need to get a hold of people, whether it's in APBA, in HRL, like Chasin Tails, we have the right contacts. If you need to get a hold of somebody, reach out. We can get you in touch with them.
Yeah, I'll just give Timmy's number out every episode if you guys want to call him. Just kidding. I would never do that.
What do we have? I think there was a board member, a guy from Springfield. The new APBA headquarters is going to be in Springfield, Ohio, right at that race facility. And that first guy to stand up and talk about it literally gave his cell phone number out. So,
oh, nice.
But that's the point. It's like, here, anytime.
Availability, man.
So APBA headquarters is moving. This is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the whole story, but what they have land and they have stuff in Florida, but the headquarters and the building and stuff is moved to Springfield. The address, everything's been changed, so now the headquarters is in Springfield, Ohio. And that's that facility that they race outboards and stuff all the time. It's their own Champions Park and Champions Lake there, and I haven't seen it in person, but there is talk about trying to get inboards there. It's too small to have a full inboard race. It's too small to have a full inboard race, but there is some talk about getting some there.
That'd be cool.
Run hydro hot laps.
Yeah. Well, you could probably get 4 or 5 1 liter 2.5 stocks out there at a time, no problem. You're not getting 4 or 5 liters though.
No.
Fair enough.
All right. So
4 or 5 2.5 stocks means 10, 12 skiffs, right?
Just punch them up anywhere.
I think you've been on here for 30 minutes, and I think you have been the most transparent, outspoken, public inboard chair in the history because of being on here. but besides that, being pretty transparent, that's what's needed.
I'm not gonna hide. I'm not gonna hide I'm not a politician. I'm not good at it. I don't like it. I'm not gonna hide my opinions. I mean, my opinions are why I got elected, and I'm gonna see them through. So, but I could change my opinion. There's no doubt. So, you're gonna know where I stand on stuff, and then. Hey, the other thing we didn't mention real quick, because I know that your favorite Kyle Bipes. I'm not sure if he's on because I can't see any of the stuff. He's on every other one, mouthing off. But he did get awarded the Jersey Speed Skiff Summer Nationals for this year. So, and
that's awesome.
So that's another thing to come to Madison.
Madison's gonna be awesome this year, man.
There's early commitment from almost 10 boats. So
yeah,
I think it'll be a good showing, and I think it's great for the skiffs and it's great for everything else and racing and. I think that's all good on the river.
I'm really, not because I'm friends with Kyle Bipes and all that, and I love Madison, but I think it's really good that you guys awarded them that, because if that title race went to the East Coast, it's just another race that the skiffs are already going to be at. So now you put the skiffs on at a race where they've never been, so they get more exposure.
Yeah.
They travel, and
if
Yeah.
there is
major
a race,
exposure.
if there is a race that we can convince a class that has not really been to or ever been to come to, Madison is high on that list.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean,
Very
it's
high on
perfect.
that list.
There shouldn't be any doubt that someone's going to sit there and say, "Well, I can't one of these race boats. I can sit there on the river and get one of these things and take it out."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there
I
could
mean,
be all
those things
kinds
are
of
going to be
come
such a
from it.
hit in the parade too.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Which-
oh yeah. Don't forget
Wait,
about the
which-
parade. That parade's awesome.
That parade's top notch.
That's what we want. We want classes to go places where they never been, so people can experience it, see it, get exposure, and possibly, hopefully, draw someone into that class to join and race with us.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's what we need.
They're going to
Yeah,
love
dude.
the skiffs there. I have no doubt about that.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, and then I don't like classes trying to dictate what's best for them and different things. So it's clear that in our policy about awarding divisionals and titles, which falls under, my command, there is I have no desire in releasing classes and letting them do their own thing, because the title races need to be title events, and
I agree.
the only two classes that allow it would be the K boats, not the Cracker box that are only on the West Coast. So we do let them have a West Coast Nationals, but we also try to put it at a race that can help the race site and everything else. So nothing against some of the races on the East Coast here, but when the opportunity came up to have them in Madison, well, let's just not take another race that they're already going to and give them the Nationals. Let's make it special, and let's get them somewhere else that they don't normally go.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's
that was
awesome.
well.
I
think
mean,
that was great decision.
I mean, it also helps Madison as a whole, because I think the biggest complaint, nothing against Unlimiteds, but so much downtime at these Unlimited races. And I think Madison putting on 2.5 stocks, 350s, and Jersey speed skiffs, it's going to give pretty much a full day show on the water for these fans. And that's who we need to appease. That's who we need to focus on, is how these fans view the races and what they think, and what we can give them for the best bang for their buck.
Yeah, just keep telling Kyle, make sure he gets that race course set on time.
Yeah,
right.
They
did a better job this year. They did a much better job this year compared to the year before.
I was on the phone with him today, and I said one thing you guys have to focus on ahead of time is try to get a count on how many boats are coming, and you need to strategically set up your pits on. You can't have all the skiffs at one crane. You need to spread it out. You need, because your swing time.
Getting, I think, 2 more cranes this year.
Yeah, I'm like, your swing time. I'm like, this is going to be very imperative for your race to go off smoothly. Is swing time with the crane. You want boats in and out fast, so you can get the next heat on the water.
Was it Madison that had the crane guys that wouldn't move the crane more than like a certain speed? Was it them that did
that? Happens from time to time.
I don't remember.
That shit's painful to watch.
I would just like to see.
Oh my gosh.
I'll get yelled at and slapped, but I would like to see the Grand Prix then with the Unlimiteds, because I know how much it pisses some of the Unlimited crew chiefs off to hear that all day long. So I think they should put them right in there with all of them.
That'd be funny.
Oh man,
I know last year, like you said, Bob, like the 350s were all stuck with that one crane, and I mean they made it work. I don't think they really took any more time than they needed to take with one crane putting 6 350s or 7, whatever it was, in the water. But adding 2 cranes, even just for them and the 2.5 stocks, even in the skiffs, would be helpful. And if you can get one more just for those 3 classes.
I mean, I not just. This just doesn't go for Madison. I think, Timmy, you can contest to this. I think a lot of race sites need to look out how they set up their pits to get boats in and out of the water, because there's so much downtime at some inboard races, because they don't set up their pits good enough to where these cranes can run efficiently.
I always point back to Tonawanda, man. They got 2 cranes. They got 60, 70 boats, whatever it is.
Yeah.
and we ain't ever wait on a heat.
Yeah, and that was part of me personally having more direct communication with the race sites and race directors. I think we made a big jump this year, but there's still a lot more I can do and that we can do. Having a very accurate number of boats for them to set up the pit area, and then they can know how to position a crane and the classes around it until it's too late. All of a sudden you don't notice it, and you got all boats on, one class on one crane, and it becomes a big problem. But I'm going to do better and improve on that. But
I
that's
think one
pretty
thing
crucial.
that could help a lot with that, and I don't know to what extent this already happens, but I don't know, do race sites communicate with each other much? I mean,
very little.
Obviously they're all set up differently, but I feel like they all get, as direct of experience in how to run a race as any race site could ask for.
Unfortunately, I'm not talking crap on any race sites, but you go to a race site, they think they do it better than another race site.
Yeah,
that race site thinks.
I've seen
so
that.
It's like they're like racers. They take pride in what they do, and they think that they are doing it better. Yeah. But it is imperative to the layout of the pits, because essentially, if your cranes are running smooth, that means your races are going off like that, and you're keeping your fans engaged, you're keeping a show on the water, and that's what brings fans back the next year.
And that's, you learn from the different series, learn from the different sites. Every race site has their own problems, there's height restrictions, there's anything, but obviously HRL, they run so efficiently with their cranes. I don't think we can have the same cranes and the same operators at all of our races they do.
For sure.
No. But you also have to learn from it, and you have to know, you have to listen. I mean, we're getting crane operators that have never seen a hydroplane sometimes. So if the right person is there communicating with the crane operator, it's a world of difference. So I mean, there's a lot you got to learn. And
one thing I will say about that: be nice to your freaking crane operators, man.
Oh yeah.
Crane operators are the best. Those are some of the favorite people I've ever made at the races.
Don't piss them off. They can shut
the
show down
The
real
guys
fast.
that we had at Mott Lake last year, that was the first time they've ever seen hydroplanes. Not this past season, the season before. First time they've ever seen hydroplanes. First time we've ever had that race. It was obviously a work in progress this year. I'm not saying it's because we were nice to them, but I think as a community of racers tried to engage with them. We're kind of all in the same spot. And like this year, there's the same guys, and they were better. They love it. They wanted to be better, and they were.
And a little tips, and it's self-motivating, but the Corey Peabody's famous for it. He gets in the truck and grabs whatever he can, gets them to the crane operators so he can get preferential treatment.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
But they love it.
Bob and Jeff Bernard probably all know all about that.
Anything you got extra, something give to the crane operator. They love it. And hey, you need something, you need them to stay a little later to do something, they'll remember who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me and Jeff never greased the crane operators. We were always just telling our boat holders, like, no, keep going.
Telling the person towing the boat where they got to get there earlier.
Yeah, so
you're not going on Friday. You're going on Thursday.
Good stuff.
You got to think about everything if you want to win, and it involves the crane operators.
Yeah. If you want to win Unlimited, you just got to get Timmy Collins off the strong radios.
That's fun times.
So we're getting almost 10 o'clock, 2 years. Hours. So we really appreciate you coming on and being transparent with everything. I'm sure our listeners who are viewing tonight and also going to watch it later, they're especially the guys in 2.5, they're going to really appreciate it. Thanks for looking out for our sport. It's step in the right direction.
It's hard to see and things take times, but we're on a trajectory. We're on a path to get better.
Yeah. No, and Jeff Bernard wants you to run for another 2 years inboard chair, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for nominating me the first time.
He's nominating you again, and you're going to have to run again.
No, I think with the things you're doing, and I know we like to talk up the podcast, but I think the transparency is appreciated. I think it's something that the sport's lacked for a long time, and it's cool that it seems like these last couple years, unfortunately, when Austin and I decided to start racing, that the sports really started to talk more and work together and try to move this thing in the right direction.
It's pretty simple to feel unheard, and we do everything to make sure that no one can accuse us of that.
Absolutely.
And also, since you're on here, we would also like to thank you for supporting the podcast and helping us get it started.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Hope we don't bother you too much.
No problem. Like I said, with the media stuff, we're way behind on. So we're looking for opportunities and things just like this to help grow the sport.
Well, we appreciate you helping us, man.
It's definitely that hopefully it helps. Hopefully it keeps growing. And any idea that you think we can do with this podcast to help the sport, we're all ears, because that's what we're here for, is just to better the sport.
Yep.
Not to talk about the Honda 24/7 is it might
Hopefully
seem
we're done that soon.
the past couple of months, but
most
I do
of
have
it's
to leave
kinda,
you.
Yeah, most of what I hear is just kind of more guests, so Bobby doesn't have to talk so much.
Yeah,
you figured us out. I'll leave you with one thing, Timmy. If you ever need somebody else to drive your Y-boat other than Bob when J Mike can, I'll do it for you.
I'll put you on the list.
Hey. If Salina's on and Timmy goes to Salina, I will hire kidnappers if anyone else goes there to try to drive that boat.
We got a governor's cup to defend.
I know. No one in history has ever won it 3 times in a row, so I got to go for it.
Yeah.
Maybe Dan Canfush will come out of retirement and trump me on.
I've tried, man. I've tried to get him. We've tried to get him and Eddie both in the 1 liters at the same time, and I think he's scared of it now.
Yeah, he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to keep that him and Eddie record zeros.
I don't know. That would be pretty interesting to watch.
Maybe we can start pressuring him on Chasin Tails.
Yeah, we can start a petition to get Dan out.
Once we get this Honda pass, that's our new objective.
Dan does have
Canfush back in a Y boat.
I know Dan gets physicals, and I know he has his dunk test, so there's no reason.
Well, and we can't let Eddie's head get too big, so I keep telling Dan to get back in the boat and teach him the thing.
Somebody's got to humble him.
Oh man, that's great. Oh, that Eddie chimed in. I've tried. He just won't do it.
Yep.
Eddie, if you do a shitty enough job in the 2500, he might just have to get in and show you how it's done. Maybe need a sandbag for like a weekend.
So, all right, guys. Well, we got to wrap this up. It's 10:01. So
yeah. Tim,
I really appreciate it. Look forward to you running for another 2 years in inboard chair.
All right. Yeah. I think we probably will.
Yep. And thank you for everything. And we'll all work together to make the inboard category better.
Okay, man.
All right.
Thanks, bro.
Take care.
Talk to you.
See ya. Well, guys, I think that tonight was good. We definitely need to get. Yeah, that's awesome. We definitely need to get more West Coast people on. Getting Justin on, that was awesome. Getting Timmy on is huge, because obviously he was instrumental in trying to get this podcast off the ground, because getting all the equipment for this isn't cheap. So he gave us a grant to get it started, and so we really appreciate that. So it was cool to have him come on, be transparent with everything, answer some questions. And also
we've officially had it somebody from every one of these now.
Yeah.
We were just missing APBA board. I mean, we have racers, but we haven't had anyone from the organization.
Yeah, and it's I just lost my train of thought. God damn it.
That ain't hard, bro.
But it's cool, and it was cool just to hear him talk about the future of inboard. That's very important to hear from someone that's in the leadership. It gives some people hope that there is also, that it's not just national meetings done. Okay, let's go racing. That, he did say that they're always working on something. They're always trying to improve inboard.
Well, and he talked about some of the things too.
Yeah, and that's what inboard needs. It always needs to be trying to move forward, not just put on pause until the next national meeting. And like he said, they're always working on something. So that's pretty good. the IRC, you know, they're working right there with him. So that's pretty cool. We'll see with this Honda thing, what happens. I know they're working on it. So we'll work on it with them, and hopefully we can move forward. Hopefully, you know, we didn't get to touch base on a lot of things like, you know, the age limit for 350 was just changed to 16. So Liddy Cope put that rule in. So congratulations on that rule proposal passing.
Yeah.
I know some people are upset about it, but I will point out, Brandon has pointed out that in car racing, there's kids younger that are going faster than 350s.
Yeah. Shit, how old's Holly Behrman?
I don't know. So, you
He
know,
might be older, but he looks young as shit.
So I think that's going to help the sport, hopefully. It's cool. And then the LS that passed.
They
point out
the A and B final thing, so that's
the A and B final thing. Yeah,
you know, kind of another aspect of the Honda rule.
Yep. And then also like to point out that Billy Noonan was inducted to the Honor Squadron. That is that's pretty awesome. Billy Noonan has been in this sport for decades. He has done it all. He's helped on many different levels from at race sites and in inboard. So congratulations on him and getting that. That's a pretty big achievement. I mean, if you look at you watch the video of him getting it, and then just the line of people up there, everyone up there has done so much for the inboard category that that's why they're there. And inboard wouldn't be what it is without those people who are on the honor squadron. So I know it's a big accomplishment. So congratulations to Billy Noonan on that. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Congrats, Billy.
So you guys have any closing thoughts? I mean, I just kind of ran through mine, but besides having Timmy on here, that's pretty cool. That's a milestone for the show.
Yeah. Like I said, we now had everybody. There's somebody, you know, in a leadership position on all three of the categories on, and you know, it's cool to hear the transparency. You know, obviously we got to talk to Janik a couple weeks ago. We talked to Mike a couple weeks ago, and you know, kind of hit all three categories in this, you know, kind of this midpoint in the off season. So it's kind of cool to get a check in, see where everything's at, and you know, obviously we as racers and as teams get to go to the meetings, and you know, kind of we have a direct line of communication to some degree on what's going on. But you know, for people that watch that maybe don't have that, I'm glad we get to share some of that info. I'm glad Timmy came on and, you know, gave us some more direct insight, and hopefully we can keep doing more of that moving forward.
And Jim Scheckler just pointed out that Kip Brown won the Mark Webber Award. Congratulations to Kip.
Cool. I was trying my best to follow everything on Facebook this weekend, but my Facebook is flooded with NFL football stuff right now, dude. It's ridiculous.
But you know, these awards that they hand out, I mean, it's they're pretty cool. So when you receive one of these awards, you definitely know you've done something. So congratulations, all award winners. I mean, I know people go there because they want high points, but these special awards, that just goes to show that some people go above and beyond for inboard and have done a lot. And it's nice for these people like Kip Brown and Billy Noonan to get recognition for what they've done. Because like I said, without people like them, like especially Kip, I mean, inboard wouldn't be where it is. They do a lot. Jim Scheckler, he does a lot. He's I don't know how many years he was inboard chair, but he's been on the IRC. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. 20 years.
Yeah, 2 decades. I think.
Close to 20 years. And he is very instrumental in the process of the IRC and how and what they do. A lot of people listen to him for his guidance just because how knowledgeable he is in a lot of various areas. So 17 years. So
not quite 2 decades.
He's going to reach two decades.
You got to
He's gonna
reach 2
it.
decades now.
Hey, if Timmy's going to run for another 2 years, Timmy cannot be an inboard chair without Jim Scheckler sitting there. I can tell you that. Tim will be lost. So, so my closing thoughts on this episode, I am very comfortable.
Closing thoughts?
Yeah, I am very comfortable with the future of inboard racing, and I think it's going to go to new heights in the next 2 to 5 years. Just like them trying to grow that T class out west. That's imperative to the existence of inboard. Get younger blood in here. Like I told Tim, we can't be here forever, so we have to have the next generation.
We're in a good spot too. Even with what we've had, we are getting new young blood into the sport, but I think we can stimulate that process.
Yeah.
Still a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, so well,
hey, phone man, thanks. You got any closing thoughts?
No. Reno was awesome. It was great to see everyone after a long season finally just partying, hanging out, and celebrating all the winners.
And congratulations on you putting your $1 into a slot in gambling.
Woo!
Is that actually the first time you've ever gambled?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Like go hang out with Timmy for a little bit. He'll get you addicted. That dude is a gambler. Yeah. So that doesn't shock me why it was at a casino.
That's why it was in Reno.
Tim Collins right there. You know. But well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. I feel like that this was a great episode just with the people we had speak, especially, we had a West Coast person. I really hate that we talk a lot about the East Coast. We do need to get more West Coast participation on here because they're part of APBA, and we need more faces from out there on the show. And having Tim Collins on here is huge because people need to hear what's going on. Like Kyle says a lot, transparency is key, and that's what it's all about.
Agreed.
Decatur won race site of the year. Oh, speaking of Decatur, we do have a couple people coming on in the next few weeks, and I know one of them will be Sean Ballinger to talk about Decatur. I've talked to him a little bit, and he will be on to promote Decatur. They do have a title event. They have the Eastern Divisionals this year, I believe. And so it'll be cool to have him on there, I want him to talk about last year, and I want him to talk about what's the future looking like for this year and also coming years. So Sean, you will be on here in the next couple weeks, so get your notes ready.
All right.
So, all right, guys. Sorry, it was a 2-hour episode. Oh, and nationals for Decatur has nationals for 2026. So
Bob's trying to make it a 2 hour and 15 minutes.
So
stop talking, dude.
Okay.
You've continued this fucking
all right. We're getting
times.
off. We could do it without Brandon. So, all right,
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Now, don't say anything stupid. Brandon said there's a different way that we have to do this, but